Stop chasing life and find peace. 5 Buddhist teachings for inner freedom. Have you ever felt as if you were living inside an endless cycle? Day after day, we rush to wake up, rush to work, rush to chase plans, goals, and dreams. We believe that if we just try a little harder, push ourselves a little more, happiness will surely be waiting ahead. And yet when the night falls, there is still an emptiness within. Why is that? Perhaps it is because deep down, we are living according to what life, society, and others expect of us rather than listening to ourselves. We chase recognition, we chase comparisons, we chase expectations that never seem to end. And in that chase, we lose the inner peace that was always within us. In Buddhism, this is called attachment. When we cling to results, when we grasp at things beyond our control, we bind ourselves with the chains of suffering, as the Buddha once taught. The root of suffering is attachment. If we learn to let go, the mind becomes free, like a still lake that reflects the vast sky. Think back to a time when you failed, perhaps a job opportunity lost, a relationship that fell apart, or a plan that suddenly collapsed. In that moment, the pain seemed unbearable, as if the world had turned against you. And yet as time passed, you realized that the very event which brought you sorrow also opened a new door. That loss helped you grow, understand yourself better, and sometimes even led you to a more fulfilling path. Was it truly a failure then? Or was it a necessary step in your journey? Buddhism is not about blind belief. It is a mirror, a way to see ourselves clearly. Rather than pointing fingers at the outside world, it invites us to look inward, to recognize the roots of our suffering, and from there, to transform the way we see life. You may wonder, but I live in the modern world full of technology, stress, and pressure. Do the Buddha's words from thousands of years ago still matter today? The answer is yes. Not only do they matter, but they are more urgent than ever. The faster society moves, the easier it is to lose ourselves. Notifications constantly demand our attention. Social media traps us in endless comparisons. Work pressures us to achieve more, faster, better. We get caught in an exhausting cycle. Yet more than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha already pointed out, the true source of suffering lies not in external circumstances, but in the mind. Changing our situation may bring temporary joy, but only transforming the mind brings lasting freedom. Imagine sitting before a calm lake. Its surface is still, like a perfect mirror. But if a stone falls into the water, ripples spread everywhere. Our mind is the same. When we react to every word, every action, every change in the outside world, we become like that lake, disturbed again and again, ever at rest. But if we learn to simply observe and let go, then no matter how strong the winds outside, the lake within remains still, reflecting the moon and stars. Within the teachings of Buddhism are countless lessons on how to find peace. But they all return to one truth. Peace is not found outside. It is born within. Not when we finally have enough money, enough power, enough love. Peace begins when we stop, when we appreciate the present, when we let go of what no longer serves us. Letting go does not mean giving up or becoming passive. In fact, letting go is the most courageous act. It is the courage to release illusions of control, to embrace impermanence, to take care of the mind instead of endlessly chasing shadows outside. At the beginning of this journey, I want to invite you to ask yourself one question. Am I truly living my own life, or am I living the life that others expect of me? If your answer wavers, then perhaps this is the time to listen to the Buddha's wisdom. Over the next few moments, you'll explore simple yet profound lessons teachings. It's good. That can help you step out of the exhausting chase and rediscover the peace that's always been waiting within you. Life is short. Everything we cling to today will eventually fade with time. The only thing that remains is how we lived, whether in turmoil or in peace. And Buddhism, with its timeless wisdom, is the lamp that guides us toward the path of peace. Lesson 1. Letting go of control, flowing with life in modern life. We are often taught, if you want to succeed, you must control everything. You must plan, predict, calculate every step. This isn't entirely wrong, but it easily traps us in a dangerous illusion. The more we try to control, the more restless and anxious we become when life does not follow our script. Think back to the last time you felt disappointed because something didn't go as planned. Perhaps it was an interview, an important meeting, or a trip you had long looked forward to. When things fell apart, your mind likely cried out, "Why did this happen? I prepared so carefully." That resistance, that refusal to accept reality, was the seed of suffering. Buddhism teaches, suffering does not come from the event itself, but from our attachment to it. Attachment means believing that everything must unfold according to our will. But life, like a flowing river, is always changing. You can try to build a dam to hold the current, but sooner or later, the water will find another way. The more tightly we hold on, the more peace slips through our fingers. Letting go does not mean being careless, neglectful, or passive. Letting go means doing your best, then allowing the outcome to be what it is. Like a farmer who plants seeds and tends the field, yet knows that sun and rain are not in his control. He still works with care, still hopes for harvest, but does not despair if a season is lost, because he understands that impermanence is part of nature. Imagine being able to work wholeheartedly without being consumed by results. Imagine loving deeply without chaining the other person to forever promises. Imagine living fully in each moment without being afraid of change. This is the strength of letting go. One of the Buddha's most quoted teachings is, peace comes when you let go of attachment. And that peace is not given from outside. It arises when the mind is no longer bound by expectations. Lesson 2. Non-reaction. Keeping the mind like a still lake, there is a Zen story. A young monk was insulted by someone. Filled with anger, he rushed to his teacher and said, "How dare he speak to me like that? What should I do to restore justice?" The teacher smiled, took him to a nearby lake, and dropped a pebble into the water. Ripples spread across the surface. The teacher asked, "What do you see?" The monk replied, "The water is disturbed." The teacher said, "Yes, and so is your mind. Just one word, and it has been shaken. If you can learn not to react, your mind will be like the still lake reflecting the entire sky. Every day, we encounter countless pebbles thrown into our lives. Criticism, unfair treatment, cold glances, harsh words. Each time we react, we hand over control of our peace to others. With just one word, they can unsettle our entire being. But if we learn to observe instead of react, things change. Someone who insults us is often a person carrying deep pain within, releasing it outward. We just happen to be standing in the way. By keeping calm, we protect ourselves and sometimes even send a ripple of peace back to them. Reaction does not mean silence out of weakness, nor does it mean becoming like an unfeeling stone. Non-reaction means choosing your response consciously, instead of being enslaved by impulsive emotions. When someone offends you, you can choose to smile, to walk away, or to remain silent. Each of these choices is far wiser than being dragged into anger. There is a famous saying, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Indeed, when anger rises, our body shakes, our heart races, and our mind loses clarity. The other person may not even be harmed, yet we are already scorched by our own fire. Why give away that power? The Dhammapada teaches. Better than 1,000 victories in Dhammasketa. Battle is a single victory over oneself. And victory over oneself begins with refusing to let every wave of the world disturb the stillness of our inner lake. Continuing, Lesson 2. Non-reaction. Keeping the mind like a still lake in today's world, people often confuse strength with quick reactions. Someone insults us, and we instantly fire back. Situation turns against us, and we immediately complain. We think reacting fast shows confidence and power, yet in truth, it is these very reactions that rob us of inner freedom. A truly strong mind is not one that always wins arguments, but one that doesn't need to argue at all. When others burn with anger, yet you remain calm, this is strength. When circumstances collapse, yet you stand steady, this is mastery. The Buddha taught, the fool thinks victory comes through quarrel, but true victory comes through letting go. Your peace is more precious than proving you are right, because once you sink into anger, even if you win the argument, you have already lost to yourself. There is a simple yet powerful practice, delaying your response. When someone says something hurtful, instead of replying instantly, take a slow breath. Count from 1 to 5. In that pause, you lift yourself out of the pit of emotion. You regain control instead of being controlled. This is what Zen masters call the pause of awakening. Remember, silence is not defeat. Silence is strength. To hold back anger, to stand firm in peace, is a power far greater than shouting louder than the other. The wise do not allow themselves to be puppets pulled by the strings of others. Ignorance. Lesson 3. Focus on yourself. Stop comparing. Stop chasing others. One of the deepest roots of modern suffering is comparison. We live in an age where, with just one swipe, we see hundreds of images of others' success, wealth, and happiness. And instantly our minds whisper, why them and not me? My life is not enough. Buddhism has long pointed this out. Comparison is a subtle form of attachment. It pulls us off our own path and pushes us to chase after someone else's footsteps. Yet each person is a unique seed. A lotus cannot bloom like a rose, and it does not need to. Every flower carries its own fragrance. The Buddha taught, 1. Who walks their own path without chasing after another finds peace. To focus on yourself is to return to nurturing your own mind rather than endlessly running outside. It means asking not, do I earn as much as others, but am I growing wiser than yesterday? Not, do I look as beautiful as them, but am I living truthfully as myself? Think of the moments you felt truly happy. Were they the times you outshone someone else? Or were they the quiet times when you were simply yourself, drinking tea in peace, reading a book, sharing a smile? Happiness is born not from comparison, but from authenticity. Consider this simple image. You are running a race. If you keep glancing at your opponents, you stumble and lose strength. But if you focus only on your steps, you run farther, steadier. Life is the same. Comparison doesn't speed us up. It drains our energy. In Buddhism, there is the practice of mindfulness, living fully in the present. When you focus on yourself, you practice mindfulness. You eat with mindfulness, work with mindfulness, breathe with mindfulness, and life stops being a race. It becomes your own path. Here's a small daily exercise. Instead of checking social media the moment you wake up, take 10 minutes to breathe deeply and write down 3 things you are grateful for. By beginning the day focusing inward, you shift your entire energy. There is a saying, comparison is the thief of joy. Indeed, joy is already there, but we kill it by measuring ourselves against others. Buddhism reminds us, be like a flower, bloom in your own way. Do not worry about being more beautiful than another, just bloom fully in your own time. When we focus on ourselves, we discover that peace does not come from what others think of us. Peace comes from living true to who we are. Lesson 4. Embracing impermanence. Everything changes. If there is one truth the Buddha emphasized again and again, it is impermanence. Everything in this universe is constantly changing. Our bodies, our emotions, our relationships, our careers. Even the things we once believed would last forever. We often suffer because we want to hold on to what cannot be held. When love is sweet, we fear losing it. When work is thriving, we fear failure. When health is strong, we fear illness. But this very fear steals our peace. Buddhism teaches, suffering arises from resisting impermanence. We try to freeze what is meant to flow. It is like holding sand tightly in your fist. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Think of a lotus flower. When it blooms, it brings joy. But within days, its petals begin to fade. If we accept impermanence, we enjoy its beauty while it lasts, and we smile when it withers, knowing this is its nature. But if we cling, sorrow arises the moment petals fall. Impermanence is not a tragedy, it is a gift. Because of impermanence, sadness does not last forever. Because of impermanence, growth is possible. A person who once failed can rise again. A broken heart can learn to love anew. Even barren land can bloom after rain. To embrace impermanence is to soften. Instead of resisting, we open. Instead of clinging, we savor. And that is the secret of living lightly. There is a story. A student asked his master, "What is the secret of happiness?" The master replied, 2 words, acceptance. The student asked, "Acceptance of what?" The master smiled, "Acceptance of everything." Mindfulness practice teaches us this lesson in the simplest way. Each breath comes and goes, we cannot hold it. And that is enough to remind us, all things pass. If even the breath cannot stay, why resist change? Lesson 5. Cultivating compassion, the everlasting energy while many chase after power, fame, or intelligence. The Buddha taught that the highest human quality is compassion. Compassion is not only loving others, it is also treating yourself kindly. Many of us can forgive strangers but are harsh with ourselves. When we fail, we condemn ourselves. I'm useless. I don't deserve happiness. But Buddhism reminds us, you must show compassion to yourself, for only when your own heart is full of love can you share it with the world. Compassion is not weakness. On the contrary, it is strength. When you practice compassion, you do not fall into hatred or jealousy. You preserve peace within, and that peace radiates outward. Imagine lighting a single candle and using it to ignite many others. Your flame does not lessen. Instead, the entire room becomes brighter. Compassion is the same. The more you give, the richer you become. The Dhammapada says hatred is never ended by hatred. Hatred is only ended by love. This is an eternal law. In a world full of conflict and negativity, what we need is not another harsh word, but another act of compassion. Begin small. Smile at a stranger. Listen patiently to someone in pain. Forgive a minor mistake. These may seem simple, but they plant seeds of peace in the soil of life. And never forget compassion toward yourself. When you are tired, allow yourself rest. When you make mistakes, give yourself the chance to improve. When you feel sorrow, embrace yourself gently. Do not be your own enemy. When we cultivate compassion, we not only heal others, but also heal ourselves. A heart overflowing with kindness has no room left for hatred or restlessness. Connecting the lessons through these 5 teachings: letting go of control, practicing non-reaction, focusing on yourself, embracing impermanence, and cultivating compassion. See that the path to peace is not somewhere far away. It is here, in each breath, each thought, each small action of our daily lives, every step on this path is a step home to yourself, to freedom, to the timeless peace that was always waiting within. Part 3. Conclusion. Approximately 1,000 words we have walked together through 5 essential lessons of Buddhist wisdom: letting go of control, practicing non-reaction, focusing on yourself, embracing impermanence, and cultivating compassion. Each lesson is like a radiant gem, lighting up the path that leads us back to inner peace. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. How many times have you exhausted yourself by trying to control what could never be controlled? How many times? Have you lost your peace because of a single word, a single look? How many times have you compared yourself with others and judged yourself unworthy? How many times have you shed tears, fighting against the changes that life naturally brings? And how many times have you forgotten that your own heart, too, needs kindness, forgiveness, and care? All of these sufferings share one route. We keep searching for happiness outside, while the true source of peace has always been within. Buddhism does not promise that practicing these teachings will remove all storms from your life. The storms will still come, challenges will still arise, but the difference is this: when the mind is steady, the storm no longer terrifies you. You become like a swimmer, not avoiding the water, but moving gracefully through it. Letting go frees you from impossible expectations. Non-reaction protects your peace from being stolen by others. Focusing on yourself allows you to live authentically, without the weight of comparison. Embracing impermanence helps you smile in the face of change. And compassion turns life into a garden where love grows and hatred withers. When we walk this path, something extraordinary happens. We no longer chase after peace. Peace finds us. It arrives when we release a grudge, when we forgive ourselves, when we smile through hardship, when we realize that even storms have their end. Perhaps you wonder, but how can I practice all of this in daily life? I'm busy, overwhelmed. I'm not a monk or a sage. The answer is simple. You don't need to be a monk. You only need to be yourself, but a more mindful version of yourself. Start small. When something unexpected happens, pause and take a deep breath instead of reacting. When you see someone succeed, bless them, and then ask yourself, am I better than I was yesterday? When life changes suddenly, remind yourself, this is impermanence. It will pass. When you are tired, offer yourself rest instead of criticism. These may seem like small steps, but drop by drop, they fill the ocean. One day you will look back and realize you have changed. Your mind is calmer. Your heart is freer. Peace has become your natural state. It is important to remember. Buddhism is not some distant philosophy meant only for monks and temples. It is life itself. You can live in a noisy city and still practice Buddhism. You can be a parent, a worker, a teacher, a vendor, and still bring mindfulness into each breath. Buddhism is not elsewhere. It is here, in how you look, how you breathe, how you meet yourself in each moment, as the Buddha said. Be an island unto yourself. Be a refuge to yourself, with no other. The path to peace is not out there. It is within your very steps, in the choices you make each day. As we close this reflection, I hope you remember one thing. Life is short and impermanent. Don't let it slip away in restlessness. Begin planting seeds of peace today. If these teachings touched your heart, leave a small sign, a smile, a nod, or simply share this with someone else to pass on a seed of peace. And if you wish to continue walking this journey of wisdom, subscribe to join us. Together, each week, we will dive deeper into the timeless gems of the Buddha's teachings, turning philosophy into daily practice and transforming wisdom into breath. Always remember, Peace is not waiting in a perfect tomorrow. Peace begins here, now in this very moment, when you stop chasing and come home to yourself.